Welcome to our show. You're listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections, a place to learn about and celebrate creative arts therapy. Each week, we'll explore new ways that music, art, and dance can reach, connect with, and help individuals of all stages of health and wellness. Hi, I'm Bree Bynan, a board-certified music therapist and the managing partner for the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. Tune in as I interview professionals from healthcare and educational backgrounds on the impact of the creative arts. If you prefer to watch our live video stream, simply visit www.pbmti.com. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. My name is Bree Bynan. I'm a board-certified music therapist, a neurologic music therapist, and the managing partner for the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute, a local music therapy practice here in Southeast Florida, serving Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties. This show is meant each week, if you're listening for the first time, to shine a light on some creative, alternative, supplemental, supportive programs in both healthcare and education to help reach those that are along their journey in either illness or wellness, and to help tap into some different creative outlets, something that might be a little bit outside the box. So each week, that's kind of our goal here, is to explore something a little different, meet the professionals who are bringing these modalities to the community, and today is no exception. In fact, I'm really excited today because we're going to be talking about some new things we haven't talked about on the show today, and new things to me even. I'm going to be learning a lot alongside everyone, which is really exciting. A few of those things being acupuncture, which although it is something I have experienced once, certainly do not know much about it. Really excited to learn more about it. I'm hearing more and more about it. Being in the medical field, more and more integrative medicine programs are coming about. As we talked about last week, the idea of mindfulness meditation being kind of one of those buzzwords that we're hearing a lot in the medical community now. If you didn't listen to the show or didn't catch the show last week, I highly encourage that you visit our website, pbmti.com. We have all of the shows archived there to watch last week's show, because not only is it very informative, I learned so much about mindfulness meditation, but also different tips and tools for how to integrate it into your life. And I was sharing last week that this is something that I was skeptical about, just because from a perspective of not that it wouldn't help someone else, but for myself personally, I thought, well, my mind never stops wandering. I can barely shut it off to go to sleep at night. I'm thinking about past, present, and future. I don't think that meditation will be for me. And until I started to try a little bit and try to practice it. And again, certainly no expert. But what really clicked for me last week, and this just happened on air, having the conversation with John, a student down at UM who just completed his final program for his master's in music therapy, working with the idea of mindfulness music therapy, is that music is the perfect vehicle for mindfulness, for practicing mindfulness, because you are really in that moment. And I thought, that is so interesting. I am that person who gets impatient reading a book and flips to the end of the book and lets my mind go busy in a situation like that, but I would never do that with a song, whether I was listening to it recorded or clearly have no control live. I'm in that moment, truly, and I'm loving being in that moment. That unlocked everything for me. That made so much sense. That is, for me, mindfulness. That made that make sense to me. That idea that when you're appreciating music for what it is, you are living truly in that moment and taking it into your senses. I love that. I love that. I had to repeat it again this week, and I also want to bring that to all of you listening and watching today. Just setting that intention of practicing this idea of mindfulness, even if it's just for the next 50 minutes that we're together today. There's going to be a lot of information we're going to be talking about holistic and integrative medicine. My guests today are going to be talking about acupuncture, as I mentioned, other modalities that they work with, mindfulness, a myriad of other techniques I've never even heard of before. I'm so excited to be educated. Nonprofit program that they're developing and working on. And so to help set us up for this space of taking in this information, of learning, if you are watching, you may see that I have some really interesting instruments in front of me right now. I have, I don't even know. We're going to learn about it. Tibetan singing bowls, I'm guessing, and a few other really, really neat things that we'll get to hear from. The tone chimes we heard last week, just appreciating those sounds for what they are. So without having a background in mindfulness meditation, I do want to share with you what it means to me, how I understand it is being present in the moment with music. So with that in mind, for the next few minutes, I want to just share a song with you, and I just want you to appreciate that song for what it is. Pay attention to the melody, to the guitar, to the words. It's a familiar song, so maybe to what it makes you think of. And keep that with you for the next 50 minutes that we're together today and taking in this new information together. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why? Then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Stay with us. We're going to be talking to some wonderful women who are going to share everything we ever wanted to know about holistic and integrative medicine. We're so glad you're with us tonight. We'll see you after the break.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists We use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan, and I have with me tonight the pleasure of introducing two doctors, Dr. Alicia Villamarin and Dr. Maria Romero. I've been practicing that all day. Ladies, so lovely to have you here with me tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I am so excited to learn not only about what you're doing in your everyday life to bring your passion to the community and to others on such a global level, but also to hear about your unique background. So maybe if we could kind of start there. Alicia, if you want to begin just with your background and what kind of brought you to the work you do today.
Yeah, it's a little long way. I'm originally from Spain, and I studied biology, a 5-year program. Then I went to do my PhD in cell and molecular biology to NYU, the Sackler Institute in New York. And from there, I jumped to Chinese medicine. Don't ask me why or how I did it. It was actually after a very interesting experience I had with a couple of people that had a miraculous recovery from serious disease through Chinese medicine. And I said, well, I don't know how this works, but it works. And I was very much into molecular and cellular biology and cancer research, actually. And I wanted to see the human side of it. So I thought, hey, Chinese medicine has what I've been missing from the Western medicine, which is the spirit part of it, the emotional part, the convergence of the three aspects of the human being. I think a very good guess that Chinese medicine could provide that, and it did. So along with Chinese medicine, as the years go by, you realize that there are other modalities that really complement really well. And sound healing was one of my first modalities. Acutonics, I worked with tuning forks. So tuning forks, I have many frequencies, and then I work with Tibetan bowls, I work with gongs, with chimes, with all these really harmonic sounds that get the body into harmony, if I can repeat the word harmony.
Sure.
Again
we like
and again.
that word.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
And it's not just because you feel good, it's because it actually goes deep at the cellular level. Because if we're all vibration, what better than to work with vibration? So along with the needles, along with the acupuncture, I work with the sound in every patient of mine. And other modalities that, hypnosis and pranic healing, anything that is in the energy field.
And you mentioned a little earlier that you were looking for modalities that tapped into the three aspects of the human experience. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Yeah, we are not just flesh, as we all know. We have the emotional body and we have the spiritual body. We are spirit, we are mind and we are body, and it works together. There's no way. When people say mind-body connection, what connection? It's together. It's like if you could disconnect my brain from me, then I'll be brain dead, then I wouldn't be a person. So if you disconnect my spirit, I wouldn't be a person. So Chinese medicine, the Oriental medicine, it considers the three of us together, integral part of it. And then from that gave me the fantastic tool to bring it out to other people to teach. And then with Maria, we founded the Wu Project. This organization is a non-for-profit. We made it a non-for-profit, thank God. It was a long way. And we teach barefoot acupuncture and sound healing in remote, that's our joke. Can we say that together?
You absolutely please
okay,
do.
Maria, 1, 2, 3. Remote rural regions.
So don't feel bad if you get our names wrong. Here's our favorite thing to say. Thank you. Made me feel better.
Faraway regions with underdeveloped regions in the world.
Yeah.
And they get a lot out of the sound. It's like we bring them back what is theirs. Everybody has sound in their culture, in their mysticism, in their spirituality, in their physical reality. So we bring that along in our teachings. So I'm thrilled that I could put everything together, the Chinese medicine, the sound healing, and my love for teaching and traveling and meeting people.
It's a perfect marriage, it sounds
Yeah.
like. And we're going to expand on a lot of the things that you mentioned as we go through the hour. But you made reference to your partner here, Maria. And so what is
Partner
your
in crime.
Partner in crime. Seems like a good crime, guys. What is your background, Maria?
Well, my background is in veterinary medicine. I started in Cuba, and I worked for many years in an animal clinic in Miami. And the way I transferred from that to the Chinese medicine was at some point I had to make decisions, very important decisions. And somehow I was giving back flowers. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's sort of kind of a homeopathic type of remedy created with essence of flowers, very mild, very subtle, very beautiful remedies. And I started experimenting with that, and eventually I took it to the animals. So I work in ICU and emergency clinic, and animals were responding amazingly with that. So
what is the name of it?
Bach
Bach.
is BACH, flowers.
Okay.
is,
Like the musician.
and with that, I started moving from the Western medicine to the Chinese medicine, knowing, like Alicia was saying, there's something that it was missing in what I was doing. And I have the example that I usually use with people. It's like a table with a missing leg will be defective. So Chinese medicine and all this modality was giving also the completion of the mind, body, and spirit that you will care with this Chinese medicine. So with that, eventually, and being Cuban, being born there, music for us is very important.
Sure.
So the heartbeat is the first instrument that we hear when we are babies, when we are in a mom. So the beating of the heart will take you to a place of safetyness and beauty and happiness and joy. When you hear a drum, you usually try to move with it. And so I went into a lot of different classes like trance dance. I got some certifications in trance dance, 5 rhythms, and other dancing meditation forms, and which eventually led me to the acutonics with Alicia and the tuning forks and all these other vibration modalities, which includes also the Tibetan bowls and the chimes and everything else that you have on top of your table.
It's so interesting how things come to be. And it just seems like this past month, as last 4 or 5 shows we've had, by no planning of mine, which, is always difficult as a planner, how everything has just come together. And what I mean by that is several weeks ago we were talking to a friend of mine who is doing a documentary on a global music therapy project. And he was doing a documentary locally talking about what music therapy is, more defining the profession of it, and following music therapists around and the responses that they were getting from different populations that they were working with, and then really realizing the bigger picture of how, as the cliche goes, music as the universal language, that it is something that no matter our culture, our age, our background, our stage of illness, wellness, we are connected through music. And so, took the show on the road and was down in Peru and Ecuador, and I can't remember where else, but I know that they're going to Nepal next, and different places all over the world to not only partner with music therapists there, but also just to observe the role that music plays in these different cultures. And, I shared personally the groups that I lead. I lead a couple bilingual groups in Spanish, and we were joking before this, my Spanish is un poco. But through music and through being able to sing in that language, we build rapport, we build connection. Maybe we're just improvising on instruments together, but we're able to connect in that way, even having completely different life experiences. And it's so natural. And not only that, but also have been speaking with some music therapists working here and also working abroad from Malaysia, and the role that music plays in that culture as well, and the idea of music as a healing vehicle. It's just incredible to see, as you all are observing in your project, which we'll talk more about later, that it is something that exists everywhere because it's part of the human experience. no matter where we're from. And I always use that example. I love that you said that about the heartbeat, the first thing we ever hear. And certainly, like you said, about vibrational and being mostly water, how that.
It resonates 4 times, it transmits the sound 4 times more than
So-
the air.
So
the
if you
water.
would explain, I mean, there's so many things in front of us, physically and in front of us to talk about. Maybe we could start with the tuning forks and how you use that, what kind of impact that has.
Well, the modality that I use in sound healing is called acutonics.
Okay.
There are many people that use many different types of forks, but the ones that I happen to land on were these tuning forks that are based actually the frequency of the orbit of the planets, and it's just a transposition of the orbit of the planets into frequency, into ohms, into ohms. I mean ohms, into hertz, like the car hertz. So the thing is that what Donna Carey, the one of the co-creators of the system, what she did, she's an acupuncture physician. So what she did was to use the already existing meridian system, the energetic system that the Chinese medicine believe it is the one that moves your life, and use the acupuncture points in order to apply the tuning forks on those acupuncture points. So we already had the wheels, why reinvent it? So besides working on those points, you can also work outside of the body. We have an electromagnetic body. We have a spiritual body. We have not just this flesh, we have body around us. And then we have also the system, the chakra system. You can work on the chakras as well. So I love it because we're not limited to you. It's not limited to be used by acupuncturists. I've been teaching massage therapists. I've been teaching music therapists. I've been teaching architects. I've been teaching businessmen. I've been teaching all sorts of from all sorts of lifestyles, because sound is the universal language, as you say. And this is the sound of the orbits of the planets. It's like we are remembering this music of the spheres. And sometimes it sounds really you, like, really, dude, do you believe that? It's like, well, I see my patients getting better. I mean, I see the response. So I'm like, oh, shut up. I teach from experience, It's not just the theory sounds good, but if it doesn't, I don't care, because the experience tells me how well it works. So the Tibetan bowls, they are not just to listen to them. And I know that they are being used by, you activate them and you sing them, you make them sing, and you can meditate with them. But I also put them on top of people's bodies, in the sacrum, in the heart, in the belly. You have no idea how that integrates. Sometimes people are just off. When you are sick, when you are diseased, you are dis-ease. You are not at ease. So this is a way of just putting you back together. What I usually say is that everybody is born with a song. And when we are sick, when we are not ourselves because of fear, because of pain, because of doubt, we are not ourselves. It's like we have lost our song. We don't remember how to sing that anymore. So we're just bringing back the piece of paper with your song written on it again. We are just telling the body, hey, that's your song, baby. Come on, go back in track, The shoe bag, go back into track. And we do that through Tibetan bowls, but mainly, I think that the effectiveness of the tuning forks are amazing because they are shaped. The shaft is the size of an acupuncture point. So we can place them in acupuncture points, and that has even triple effect. It's not as general. It's really custom made and very, defined. And it goes to your DNA. The DNA vibrates. Our cells vibrate. We, as you mentioned before, we are 80% water. And water, the sound and the vibration transmits 4 times faster than in air. So we are guitars. We are resonators.
Beautiful. I love how you explain that. Maria, even just to continue on that, can you kind of help paint the picture of what this looks like? I think when people think of acupuncture, whether they've experienced it or not, they have a very clear, or maybe not so clear perception.
Not so clear.
Not so clear perception. Let me correct that. 'Cause I'm thinking, of what that looks like with the needles, and people say, "Oh, I'm afraid of needles," and might have walls up about that. So, what is this experience like with acupuncture and using the forks?
Well, the acupuncture point is like the outlet of the entry point where you touch the energy, what we call qi in Chinese medicine. So when you vibrate the points with an a tuning fork, you are creating an energetic field and a vibration that goes straight into the point and into the meridians that run throughout the body. So it's like we always use the example of a road being blocked by a car accident. You have too many cars on one side and you have nothing on the other side. But creating a movement, you empty the road and the flow can continue freely to happen. So not only you entrap the person with the vibration of the planet and the frequency that we're using to make it back to the cycle and bring it back to center, but also you clear destruction. So it's like creating a free flow of energy within the body with the vibration of the outside with the tuning forks.
What would you, just to play devil's advocate, what do you say to someone when they give you that answer of, it's not for me, I can't do needles, they have that preconceived notion, because like your response is very similar in a different way to what we hear a lot. Our field is misunderstood, misrepresented, as with any of us in the, most of us in these alternative complementary therapies, integrative therapies. So what do you say to that person to try to convince them, or encourage them, I should say, to be open?
I say not every headache is taken care of by an aspirin.
Yeah.
An aspirin is a very common known painkiller, but still some headaches would not be ended with an aspirin. So the same thing happened with all these techniques. That's why we have so many of them. So we customize the treatment depending on what the person needs or what the person likes sometimes. Even if they don't like it, we kind of try to push it around a little bit and try to help them to understand what they need and what they could use. But that's part of the
I think that's a great way. Like you said, it makes that direct connect with something that people understand. They use, and that is so.
But Western medicine is 250 years old, and it has its roots in ancient medicine. It's like kill all the grandparents, It's like, come on, not because it's an old medicine, it means it's bad. It's the opposite. It has been growing for millennia. It has been researched. It has been studied. It has been practiced for millennia. And things that didn't work has been just discarded. Nobody's invested. Nobody has invested, like some companies that they invest in a product and then they have to sell it. Nobody has invested in Chinese medicine. So if something doesn't work, it's out. Of course you find bad Chinese doctors and good Chinese doctors, the same as you find good Western doctors, bad surgeons, and good surgeons. So if you find a good practitioner, it's an excellent medicine. And we are not saying that's the only one. No, for goodness sake. Thank God we have developed other techniques, I mean, thank God we have developed the surgery and the C-section without killing the mother, There's so many goodness in Western medicine, in modern medicine. But the arrogance that's the only medicine, no, give me a break. Come on.
There's room for us to work together,
Absolutely.
right? That's part of that
Absolutely.
integration, that integrative approach.
And that's how we do it in our lives. In our lives, we use the same. We use doctors, we use Chinese medicine. But to me, Chinese medicine is the go-to because it's non-invasive. Well, you invade with a teeny needle, but the side effects, if there are any, they're minimal. And then if that doesn't work, you always have time to go for the big guns, for the atomic bomb. You always have time for surgery. It's like in regular medicine. You don't do surgery on somebody the first day,
Sure.
Surgeons tell you, hey, do physical therapy, do some rehab, and if nothing works, we'll see if we can go for the option of surgery. So that's how we see that.
And so key, too, about the minimal side effects.
Yeah.
Right?
But also the Chinese medicine is understood. People associate Chinese medicine with acupuncture, and that's a mistake. Chinese medicine has a lot of other modalities included in Chinese medicine, which is herbology and exercise, diet, feng shui, a lot of these
Moxa.
other things.
The moxa.
The moxa, but that's all the techniques that you can use without putting a needle inside a body.
What was the last thing you said?
Moxa,
Oh, moxibustion.
What is that?
It's a Chinese herb, Artemisia vulgaris,
Okay.
mugwort, and you have several ways of using it. I mean, you burn it basically, but you burn it on the body, which is called direct moxa. And actually, if you go to moxaafrica.org, there is a guy from Japan. I mean, he's a British guy, Dr. Merlin Young, And he brought it to Uganda. They're doing a study. I mean, the study is done, and they have seen the fantastic results with tuberculosis, because it's a huge, really badass epidemic of tuberculosis, and they're becoming resistant. What happens there is that sometimes you don't have enough drugs because people take them, and the World Health Organization, doesn't deliver them on time or whatnot, so they become resistant. So by using a teeny bit of moxa, like the size of a grain of rice, applied on a point that is phenomenal point for the immune system for tonification, which, by the way, is a concept that Western medicine does not understand. So if you put that in a point in stomach 36, that 6 times, 6 rounds, I mean, it's really cheap and it's really simple. The people have stopped becoming resistant, and the aches and pains and the side effects of the medication for TB go away. I mean, you have videos of the patients jumping up and down and say, this is a miracle. We love moxa. And I've been there. I was working in Uganda, and I met the guy, and I saw people, and I was like, whoa.
And how do you spell that?
Moxa, M-O-X-A for short.
Okay.
Then you have it in a cigar. They sell it also packed in a cigar. You don't smoke it. I've tried. It's horrible. You don't smoke it. But you warm the area. You warm. And for us, as Maria was describing, like with the traffic analogy, when there is pain, it's because there's stagnation and stuckness. I mean, there's something frozen. Everybody's upset when you can get through that traffic jam.
Sure.
So sometimes that stagnation or that frozen, flow is because there's cold inside of those pathways, and we warm it up with that cigar of moxa. That, by the way, smells a little bit like marijuana. My kids say no, but it smells. So some people say, what are you doing here?
What's going on in there?
But then, so you can use it in several ways, and that's a phenomenal way that by the way, we teach that a lot in where we go, because it's very cheap, and we love these cheap and effective methods. I give it to patients so they can do it at home. They can follow the treatment at home. It's phenomenal for infertility. Phenomenal for infertility. Very basic treatment. But unfortunately, some people think that everything has to be very expensive and sophisticated with so many switches and things, blinking lights in order to function in medicine. And no, sometimes the basic and simple is very effective.
Do you feel that shift of medicine coming back around to this at all? I feel personally, just by being out in the community, that more minds are being open and more people are willing to learn. I see in the institutions that I work with, that I partner with, more of these programs looking for integrative medicine, looking for music and art therapists and acupuncture and mindfulness.
But that's the patients bringing them in.
Do you think that's what it is?
The patients, they ask for it.
I think in a general, more global, universal way, is like all this alternative medicine that used to be the common medicine for people before Western medicine was developed, was like the pendulum. It goes this way and you have to return the other way. So we use Western medicine and we went all the way to the other far end, and now we're returning to center. And that's what I used to call, or I like to call, integrative medicine. We integrate both fields, both worlds, to bring the best of both of them to the better health of the people that we're working with. So that's the way I see it. We are in this balance in returning to center with this medicine.
I agree. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the benefits that Drs. Alicia and Maria do see in their work, and also talk about their WOO project. I'm really excited to learn more about that. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan. With us tonight, we have Doctors Alicia Villamarin and Dr. Maria Romero, who are talking to us about all things holistic and integrative medicine. We've touched so far on, oh my goodness, acupuncture, Acutonics, love it. And I saw you pulled a few more of those out. We're going to get to experience some of that in a little bit. Sound healing, and I love that. It's so interesting. This is a conversation we have in our field, and I'm sure you have in your field too. The difference between music therapy and sound healing, and also the opportunities for working together. So you mentioned earlier some of the things that you've learned in your work and being able to teach other disciplines this so that we can kind of share. And this is why, honestly, selfishly, I love that I get to do this every week and I get to learn what people are out there doing in the community and that I didn't even know kind of beyond my everyday work is so exciting. I'm so excited to hear more about these instruments. And the one thing that is common to almost everyone that comes on this show is that we get drawn to these fields, one, because we're helpers and we want to reach out and help the community and help those around us, but also because we've experienced these things firsthand. We experience the benefits and want to share that with others. So I just wanted to ask both of you if you could share what are some benefits you observed over time in your own life by implementing some of these techniques. If you want to start, Alicia.
Well, what I've seen, what brought me to Chinese medicine was the result that I saw with a couple of people in serious. One was a kidney infection. The urine was black, and it was my nanny. She didn't want to go to the hospital, and I took her to a Chinese doctor. And when she came home, the urine was clear. Within 3 days, she was fine, and she had a congenital disease. And once or twice a year, she was hospitalized all her life. She was just paranoid about going to doctors because she had always followed folklore or traditional medicine in Colombia. She was living in the jungle, basically. So she was always healed with herbs. So she did not want to go to the Western doctor. And this Chinese doctor, and I was shocked. And I had no idea how it worked. I couldn't believe it worked. And actually, she used moxa in her belly. Very, very simple. Then my mother came down with pneumonia, and 3 rounds of antibiotics did nothing. So before going to the hospital with her, I said, let me try the Chinese lady. I said, I'll give her one chance, which is what now is like what people do to me now. But anyhow, it worked. And she treated her mainly with herbs. And for the next 3 years, she never caught one more cold. And her lungs, my mother's lungs are her weakness. She has smoked for a long time. So those were the key things that made me say, wow, this thing works, And then I see that daily in my practice, and it works for everything. 100%? Of course not. Nothing works 100%. Maybe it's not even the person's time to be healed. Maybe I failed in the diagnosis or in treatment. It's never 100%, but nothing is ever 100%. Not even insurance companies are 100%, There's no guarantee in life. But the reason why I keep going to my office every day to work is because I see how it changes people's lives, not just for the pain, but spiritually and emotionally. I've had really tough cases of people trying to kill themselves, suicides, and they were with psychologists, psychiatrists, medication, and still in a big, deep black hole, and they were out with Chinese medicine and the power of the sound. I've had kids in that situation. I remember a parent saying, and insurance doesn't cover that? You gave me my child back, and I can't believe that it's not covered. So it works at every level that you can imagine.
Absolutely. It's all very powerful examples that I'm sure those listening or watching can relate on some level. We've all, either whether it's personal or as a caregiver or professional or personal in our lives, that we would do anything, that we'd try anything,
Exactly.
you know, to find that. And once you do, what an
And
amazing
it
feeling.
doesn't leave, as you mentioned before, the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the bad side effects of most of the medications are, and sometimes you do have to take the medication,
Mm-hmm.
but very often you don't. Or maybe try something else first, or maybe try it both,
Sure.
I've had cases of diabetic type 1, and they were taking tons of insulin with the Chinese medicine and the acupuncture and a good diet, but, working also with the mind and the spirit. They were down to a minimal level of insulin, which, it's really fantastic and really like, wow, it's a miracle, almost a miracle.
Absolutely. Amazing. How about you, Maria? What kind of, personally, what have you seen?
Personally, my mother has one kidney, and she has suffered from kidney problems since I'm a child. So I would think maybe 15, 16 years ago, I was in acupuncture school, my first year school, and she formed a stone that came out of the kidney and blocked her urine. So her kidney got huge, and she was rushed to the emergency room, and it was not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was, at the time, I was very scared. My mom could have died at the moment. So I took it to my teachers in the school, and she was given herbs and acupuncture treatments, and I was instructed what to do with her and how to treat her. So for the next 3 months, she was under Chinese medicine. She refused to take antibiotics. She had a stem placed on her uterus and her utero and all that. And by the time she was supposed to get the stem removed in the hospital, she returned. She's 60 years old, and all the people around her are much younger than her. And they're all complaining of how uncomfortable, miserable, fever. They look bad. They were not healthy. They have all kind of complaints. And my mom was rosy, shining, glowing, happy, and looking around saying, oh my God, Chinese medicine does work. Because she was comparing herself with everybody else, knowing that she was an elder than everybody else, and she was doing so well. So that was my first personal case. And from there on, a lot of patients, like Alicia says, you get all kind of cases, dying, deaths, terminal diseases, children. But mainly what I notice is that stress is a very common disease. We call it the adult's disease. You become sick with stress very soon in your life, and then stress will paralyze everything else. When you're stressed out, you have to run and survive. So immunity, digestion, sleeping, fertility, and all these things get left behind.
Sure.
So just working, if you're just only going to work with stress, you will get tremendous results in your practice. Results that people will notice. And then from there on, you continue working deeper into the body and everything else that is happening with your patients. So it's
And I
very
feel like that's
interesting.
a great place to start too, because it gives someone a manageable goal. Like, we're not going to tackle everything that's going on with you, but how can we help you handle coping with your stress? How can we? That's something we can all relate to. We all have stressors, good and bad, and how understanding how that affects us on a larger level, and taking those steps. I think that's a great place to start, especially if someone is maybe a little bit skeptical and hasn't been open to integrative medicine before.
And that's the one thing that everybody reports that is doing acupuncture, is how their levels of stress. As I say, I have no power about getting rid of your mother-in-law, of your boss, or
Right.
giving you $1 million.
Right.
But you can change the way you look at
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
The perspective, when the perspective changes, everything changes.
Absolutely. That's huge.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Woo Project. How did this come to be? And yay, the smiles!
yeah.
Like,
We got all
waiting to
excited
talk
now.
about this, the Passion Project. Tell me all about it.
Well, Maria and I had been working. Maria travels all over the world because she was locked up in Cuba for many years. And when she came
I had
out,
to
she decided,
compensate.
she had to compensate and travel all over the world. So she's been traveling, and everywhere she traveled, she would bring her needles and do treatments. And she was very good friends with a Rinpoche in Nepal. And a couple of times that she was there, she's been there many, many times, she was working and doing needles, doing treatments. And then it was like, this is ridiculous. There are hundreds of people here. I only have 2 hands and a bunch of needles, and, I can't do it all. So the Rinpoche actually had the idea and said, why don't you come back to Miami, find help, and then come back and we can train people to, so when you leave, we have somebody here. Well, I had just come back from Uganda, from Africa, and I had been working with another organization that they actually do training. And when I came back and I talked to her, and she said, well, how did it go? I said, well, Rinpoche is asking me to do this, and I saw so many patients, and I was by myself with limited amount of needles, with only 2 hands and 2 legs, and it was really exhausting. It was phenomenal, but it was just too much. And I said, so why don't you train people? And she said, that's what Rinpoche told me. So the idea started about, hey, why don't we do that together? And, because I've worked with other organizations that also train. So I want to believe that I've taken the best of them, because there were things that I didn't quite like. We're humans, and once the organizations grow, then things don't go the way. So we have a curriculum that now I think, takes up everything that we are dreaming Chinese medicine to be, which is the body, the mind, of the spirit. And with that curriculum, plus other modalities that other volunteers bring in, anything that we can teach, anything that is teachable, we bring it to this. And we have this niche of remote rural regions, because very often people can't get there, other organizations can't get there, and we're willing to go.
And even if some organizations get there, they don't get trained and help the people. They go and do the work and leave. So our goal is to go train and leave them with the tools to continue doing the work.
We have what we call health workers. So sometimes they're nurses. Sometimes, like in Nepal, we trained, they were physical therapists, nurses, some Tibetan doctors. We trained lamas. That was in Nepal. In Guatemala, we've been there twice in November 2015, and now we just came back 3 weeks ago. We trained midwives, was the other herbalists, spiritual guides, bone setters. It was
people that work in the field with their own traditional medicine. So we add techniques that can help them to enhance what they do.
Amazing. And I know that this is even just scratching the surface of all the amazing work you do. I spent a little time on your website earlier today learning about it, which is beautiful, by the way, and look forward to going back and following you all, which you can do on their website, which is www.thewuproject.org.
Yeah.
They're also on Facebook, the Wu Project. We're going to cut to another quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to play with some of your lovely instruments here that you brought. So join us right after this quick commercial break.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Biden, and tonight we've been talking to two doctors, Dr. Alicia Villamarin and Dr. Maria Romero, talking about the work that they do, working in acupuncture, acutonics, new word I just learned, sound healing, and what brought the biggest smile to their faces, talking about their passion, their heart project, the Woo Project. If you didn't catch that before our commercial break, if you want to learn more about the work that they're doing through the Woo Project, which we just scratched the surface, there's a lot of incredible things going on a global level that these wonderful women are doing. You can check out their website at www.thewooproject.org. They also have a Facebook page, The Woo Project. So we will share that through our social media as well. If you're connected with us, PBMTI on Twitter or the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute on Facebook, to get that information to you. In our last few minutes here, we've got lots of fun things. If you're listening on the radio, we're going to explain to you everything in front of us right now. But if you have the opportunity to watch us through the video, you can see some of the exciting things. So, ladies, I'm going to let you take it away and explain and demonstrate some of the sound healing tools that you use.
Okay, so to begin with, the tinchas. It actually puts you in a more altered state. It brings you to meditation, brings you to center. Now, Maria. Now the tuning forks, this is the this is the orbit of the earth. I don't know if it can be heard through the microphone. Well, I'm placing the vibration, the shaft, the button of the tuning forks in the microphone, the vibration.
So that would go
Into acupuncture points, on top. So instead of a needle, I place that in the acupuncture point, or I set some needles up and then I work around them. Children, that's how I treat them. I don't want to be the witch. So we use the tuning forks, and we have, you can see down there, we have many frequencies. But the same way that if you're now going to 1047, that's your wave.
1470.
1470 is your wave, but if you go 1480, that's not your wave anymore. You catch somebody else. So it's the same with the different frequencies in every tuning forks. In every tuning fork, different frequencies would elicit different reactions in the body.
Speaking of reactions in the body, as I'm listening to the bowls, why am I feeling? Where does that come from, that feeling that we have of just, I don't know how to describe it. What is that reaction?
Well, the balls are earth, the metals are extracted from earth. So then when we vibrate, it is like they're getting you in sync with earth, and we are very disconnected. I mean, this time and age, we are very disconnected. So this is a very connecting, harmonizing, sound.
It's like a cell massage.
Yes. Oh, that's a beautiful way to put it.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Imagine that on your body.
Yeah.
You're laying on top of your body. And
Oh.
you're feeling that vibration, and you water, and everything is moving.
Oh, gosh, and I haven't been able to bring my gongs. We have planetary gongs that are just massive, and a royal pain in the neck to bring them, but...
So how would you use that in a session?
I have the patient laying down with needles or with forks, and then I hit the gongs depending on what I want, because I have different frequencies. And once a month in the new moon, I have a gong meditation in my office. I bring I bring the gongs out into the waiting room, which is quite large, and people sit around and we just meditate to the sound of the gong.
If someone like myself, say, would like to reach out to either of you for treatment, as I'm sure everyone listening and watching this is, because I'm just hearing the bowls, I'm sold. Can they contact you through the Woo Project, or
Yeah,
how
through
can
the
people
Woo is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, thewooproject.org, or you can find them on Facebook. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on tonight, taking the time to share about all the amazing things you do. We could go on for several more hours talking about this. Again, thank you.
Thank
I really,
you.
really appreciate it. I learned a lot. I hope you did at home as well. Look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank
Thank you for listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discovered new ways to bring music, art, and dance into your home or workplace. Please find a copy of today's show at pbmti.com. If you have any questions for our guest or myself, please email me at Bree, that's BREE, at pbmti.com, or call the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute at 561-747-9944. Tune back in next week for an all-new live show. See you then.